Hi, I'm Tim Dancer.
And I'm Julia Dancer, and we worked with Joe. He helped us buy our first home, sell our first home, and buy our second home. So we are big fans of Joe and his team. When we were first thinking about buying a new home, we just needed more space. We were bursting at the seams and we needed a bigger place. So that was our big goal. But we really loved our area and we wanted to stay in the same area, just have more square footage.
That's right. Space was kind of key within everything. We also wanted a reasonable price. And luckily, Joe was great at managing the price, managing the sellers, managing us as well, and trying to get all of the stars to align.
We definitely had a large list of things that we wanted, and Tim thought there was no way that I could get absolutely everything on my list, but somehow Joe got us absolutely everything on that list. We really wanted high ceilings, we wanted something new, something that didn't need a lot of work being put into it. We wanted at least 4 bedrooms, we wanted some backyard space, and we wanted a really nice neighborhood that was really safe, really family friendly, places where we would know our neighbors, and Joe got us all of that.
I think when we started this process, we had no idea what to expect, and in the Bay Area, the prices kind of get out of control. And so Joe did a great job in first saying, what is your wish list? And also tempering our expectations to say, hey, this is what we think you can get, this is what we don't think you can get. However, let's just try looking for it.
And what I love about Joe and his team is he knows the area in the peninsula so well that he showed us neighborhoods that we didn't even know about, but once we got there, we're like, we need to be in this neighborhood. We love this neighborhood. So he really broadened our search, which was great. And then he also said, like, hey, for your price point, you can get a lot more for your money in this neighborhood that you're not thinking about versus this neighborhood that you really think you want to be in, which was incredibly helpful.
That's right. The team was super creative with everything. He asked us, what are kind of your priorities? And where can you give, where can you take? So we were actually looking at some neighborhoods that others wouldn't look at, but for us it was perfect. So there was just a lot of those little things that he and his team really drilled in on to make it work for us.
And we couldn't be happier with the end result. I mean, I'm thrilled with our new home. I think definitely for our first home. This is the second home that Joe helped us buy, and after working with him for many years, we were really aligned and it was a really easy process. It went really quickly, but definitely the first home he helped us buy, it took about a year of looking to realize that our expectations for our price point with the Bay Area price point just weren't aligning, and Joe was really patient with us and took us to a lot of open houses over a year, and then we finally realized, okay, this is where our price point is in the Bay Area.
One of the things in the Bay Area that gets crazy is all the houses are $1, $2, $3 million, which makes it really hard to qualify for financing. So getting a loan is super tough. And Joe had a massive staff of bankers that would allow us to shop around and find the best rate for us. It also meant a lot of different banks have different qualifying things, so that made it super challenging as well. A banker that I had picked out originally wasn't gonna work, and one that Joe suggested was actually perfect in who we went with. So it's not just the home buying process and going from house to house and seeing the open houses, it's homeowner's insurance, getting a loan, property taxes, all the things that go into house buying that you just don't know in advance of. His team did a great job this time around because it was super, super hard for us to find financing, and they found it for us.
One obstacle that we came across during this process was actually not during buying this home. This was a pretty smooth transition to buy this home, but selling our old home. We weren't too happy with the staging the first time around, but Joe was great. He had a backup stager there available, and he handled everything very smoothly so that the new staging was in quickly, and we loved it.
And when that happened, Joe stepped on in and said, hey, I made this recommendation to you. I'm gonna foot the cost for that, and you guys can get your own stager for it, or at least the one he recommended, which was a huge, huge bonus to us to say, like, I will cover my own reputation and I will put my name on the line and step in if it doesn't work, which is a lot different than I think any realtor would do.
And one thing I loved about the home buying process with Joe this time around was when we first started working with him, he was a one-man team and he did great, but now that he has so many other people on his team, it's exponentially better. They're so organized. They gave us a whole Excel spreadsheet of recommendations for after we closed the home. So they had recommendations for movers and organizers and designers, and they were constantly in contact with us, updating us on the status of closing and what to do next. I thought that was great. I felt very taken care of.
You know, the other thing too is, I don't know if this is necessarily a problem, but when we bought this house, I was concerned that we wouldn't be able to afford it. And Joe never pushed on us to buy this, but to find the house that fits our budget more than anything. He didn't want us to just buy a house. He wanted to make sure we'd be happy with the house that we bought.
Right.
Last time around when we bought a house, our expectations were here, and we landed here, which was a good spot.
Yeah.
I feel like this buying process, our expectations were here, and what we bought was here.
Yeah.
It was just a huge, huge difference this time around buying this house.
It's truly a house that was out of our price point, but Joe was able to get it for us far below asking. And so we feel like we are just in this amazing, amazing place, and we can't believe that this is our home now.
There is no way we would have been able to afford this house without Joe and his team.
Yeah.
The price was way higher than we thought in the Bay Area. Usually houses go over ask, and he got it under. There's just no way we'd be here, and we absolutely love it. We now have the space to live where we were. Before, we had a playpen right in the middle of our living room, and we couldn't move, and our kid had nowhere to go, and now we can finally move around. We have space to grow.
Our kid has a playroom in the Bay Area. Who would have thought?
And it's all thanks to Joe.
Yeah. We really wanted at least 3 bedrooms. Joe was able to get us a 4-bedroom house. I really wanted high ceilings. You said that's never going to happen. And
Never was going to happen.
we have incredibly high ceilings. We have an open floor plan, which is great. And I just feel like there's room to breathe and space for you to have your own office, for us to have a guest room, for us to have a garage, for us to have outdoor space, all in the heart of the Bay Area. So we're close to family and friends. We didn't have to go very far at all. We went 15 minutes down the road from our old place.
For me, it was the location and where we were living. I didn't think we'd be able to move into the location that we did. The 18-foot ceilings versus the 10-foot ceilings was a big bonus that I thought there's no way that's going to happen. And we were originally looking at 3-bedroom, 2 baths, and we got a 4-bed, 3-bath. So those are just huge, huge bonuses, all due to Joe.
Yep. Don't be on the fence about it. Just go with Joe. Best decision you will ever make, hands down. Don't waste a second with anyone else. Just go straight with Joe.
Don't think, pull the trigger. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. A big reason to go with Joe and his team is that he has the gumption and the hustle. He is working round the clock. I don't think there's ever been a time that I texted him or called him and he didn't pick up the phone right away. He is just always working, and he's working for you. You really feel like you have an all-star that's on your side when you go with Joe.
The 2 biggest things you don't quite realize when you're in the home buying process is, 1, your expectations, and then the second is all the little nuances and details that come from it. Things like, hey, I want this, I want that, I want this, and whether you can or can't get that. Joe's team was really good on outlining and figuring out what you can and what you can't get, communicating, as well as letting you go down the path in your own way. And then the second item is the laundry list of things that you need both to buy and to sell. Getting loans, homeowners insurance, stagers, cleaners, window washers, power washers, all the different things that go into buying and selling a house. They have 3, 4, or 5 vendors for every single one of them. The one that kind of I loved through this whole process that I've never heard of was someone who comes in and unpacks your house for you, which is the most incredible thing I've ever heard of. And it's another one that's due to Joe.
And I think something that's really valuable about Joe and his team is how much expertise and knowledge they have of not just the area, but homes in general. I know there were definitely some homes that we went and looked at, and he said, hey, look, that's some shoddy work. They did that in a really cheap way that looks good in pictures, but from his professional experience, that's going to break down soon and it's not worth the price point. So I know I really appreciated that, because I would walk into these flips and go, oh my gosh, this looks amazing. But he guided us towards the house that we're currently in, because he said, this is a very solid, well-built home. You will not have any issues with it when you move in, which I really appreciated, because I just don't know that. And I'm not an expert like he is.